So in AP Calculus, the main theorems you need to know are the mean value theorem, the Rolle's theorem, the intermediate value theorem, and the extreme value theorem. So let's start out with the mean value theorem. This tells us that the average rate of change is equal to the instantaneous rate of change. So f of b minus f of a divided by b over a, which is the average rate of change, is equal to the prime, the derivative, or the instantaneous rate of change at a value c. And keep in mind that most of the times this will come in the form of a table problem where c is in between a and b. Next up, the Rolle's theorem. This tells us that if the endpoints are equal, then there must exist a critical point. So for example, let's say at 1 and 2, both of the y values are at 0. So the endpoints of the y values are both at 0. So that means it doesn't matter how the function looks like. As long as it's continuous and differentiable, the function must curve in on itself, whether it be like this. So here exists a critical point and here exists a critical point. And that's what the Rolle's theorem tells us. There must exist a critical point if the endpoints are equal. So the extreme value theorem is basically a check for the absolute min and max. So to do this, our first step should be find the critical points. Our second step is to evaluate the function, which I'm just going to say f at critical points. And then the third is to evaluate the function at endpoints. And this basically tells us the absolute minimum and maximum for the function, assuming that the function is continuous. That's what the extreme value theorem tells us. So the last calculus theorem is the intermediate value theorem. This one, basically, on paper, it says that if the function at a is less than, let's call this this value L, which is less than the function at the value b, where a is less than c, which is less than b, f at c is equal to L. Basically, all this means visually is that let's call this A and let's call this B. And this is f of A and this is f of B. All this is saying is that if there's a value c in between A and B, the y value, or the f of c here, is in between f of b and f of a and f of b, and that y value in between, let's call it L. So visually it looks like this, where this is f of a and this is f of b. So one easy way to think of it is that our value for c is actually bounded between this. So here inside this box exists our value L. That's what the intermediate value theorem tells us.